Hello and welcome to the MM+M Agency 100 video series. I'm Jack O'Brien, Executive Editor of MM+M. I'm pleased to be joined today by two of our friends from Accenture Song Life. They both have the title of Managing Director and Global Offering Lead. We have Ken Bagassi and we have Enslow Cable. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Excited to be here.
It's going to be a great conversation. We get to talk about something that's really interesting. It's this idea of scale in medical marketing. And obviously, so many different agencies in different ways are trying to achieve that. They want to be able to bring all these different resources and investments over to their clients. But then comes the challenge of how do you still keep that nimbleness and flexibility and agility that comes with being an agency that's more on the small indie side of things. So we're going to hop right into that. Ken, I'm going to throw the first question over to you. Is one, how, when you achieve that scale, do you continue to move without moving too quickly or making those mistakes, I guess you could say?
Yeah, I think the first thing is scale doesn't happen. You have to really set up your relationship with your client to be able to deliver marketing at scale. It begins with, obviously, a question, like any strategic kind of process. What is it that we want to achieve together? What is our identity as a marketing team and marketing group? And that allows us to understand not only the capabilities that we must bring to the table, but what's the division of those capabilities and the division of that focus. And so once we set up actually with a strong strategic foundation of who we are, what we are going to value as a partnership, then we can start to build the system to be able to continue to deliver growth at scale.
I know there's this idea of like you don't want more marketing per se. You want to be able to, I think the phrase that you guys are going with is brands at scale. I wonder if you can kind of unpack that for our audience a little bit.
Yes, totally. No one wants more marketing. I mean, maybe some of the marketers do, but like people don't want more marketing. They want more relevant marketing. Mm-hmm. So if you think about relevance over quantity, that's what we're going after. And so kind of what Ken was alluding to earlier, we have this framework that we work with our clients in: purpose, relevance, and readiness. So purpose is defining like who you are, what your customers need, what your business focus is. Relevance is really that point on like, okay, what against that purpose, what do I need to put out into the world, right? What is that experience that I need to enable? You can think about it in relevance, all sort of like personalization, but it's like that highly relevant communications. And then the readiness piece is the systemization of it that is so important to be able to work nimbly, but still be able to like work at scale. And so the purpose, relevance, readiness kind of trifecta, we think of it as a loop actually, is what we're guiding our clients toward more and more. And the readiness piece has all of those components. It has the data layer, it has the AI enablement, it has all of those pieces structured in it. So when you need to move quickly, you're moving quickly within a structure.
I think what it does is it allows us, we actually set up the brand completely differently. Mm-hmm. Knowing that ultimately we want to get to that micro-personalization down the line, and we want to be able to increasingly do that without human in the loop, a little bit more automatic. We have to set up our brands to be able to be AI ready, mm-hmm. to be able to be, for the content to be distributed through an AI data layer. And so what we end up doing is we end up in the very beginning creating not just campaigns, but really creating these brands at scale. That allow us to, not have to redo things with each step. And I think what we saw that was an opportunity was, kind of blending the end experience with really the upfront brand building part. And that's what we're being able to walk through with our clients, kind of partner with them differently, obviously reset our interactions with MLR and what they're mm-hmm. looking for and what they're looking at, so that they can start seeing the full brand experience and not just individual campaigns. And so once we do that, it really comes down to optimizing that the data inputs and allowing our people to make insightful decisions for the brand and what that experience is going to be for our customers.
And so I want to ask you a question, and I don't want it to sound too promotional or softball in a way, but like I'm curious, when you look at Accenture Song Life in terms of what it brings to the market, how it differs from maybe some of those other traditional AORs that clients have on their roster.
Thank you for the softball question. Okay, so we have spent a decent amount of time thinking about the role of the AOR and our role in the world, right? We have full AOR capabilities, certainly, but our clients are telling us more and more that they want to put strategic thinking and creative ideation in the hands of their AOR, but do not want every little piece of communication that they need to run their business to be in the hands of their AOR because of reasons of like speed, scale, ownership. And when I say ownership, I mean ownership of the thinking, also ownership of the data that's associated with the impact that that piece of communication might be having out there in the world. And so how we're different is we were already, if we go back to what I was saying about relevance and readiness, we were already super deep in readiness. So the heritage of Accenture is around reorganizing enterprises, but for our purposes, we can really talk about the commercial org and the marketing piece of the commercial org to be ready for whatever's coming next, right? So setting up the tech, setting up the people, setting up the process to be able to really respond in a modern marketing way. What we've added on are the AOR capabilities. And so we already came from this base foundation of technical and organizational design expertise. We layered on best-in-class experience design and best-in-class AOR capabilities. So operating all three of those and having to pull the levers of knowing when a client needs more traditional AOR or maybe less. They want to build some things in-house. We have the capabilities to build them in-house for them. We have the capabilities of building an entire AI workbench for ourselves to do the work, but for our clients to work on too. So maybe we work with them in this AI-enabled workbench. We're working on it side by side. Maybe we're doing the design concepts and they're picking up some of the tactics. The ways of working with agencies and consultancies is changing radically every day. We're getting super interesting challenges weekly on redesigning how clients want to work.
Our focus is how do we reimagine the marketing function to not be in service of the brand, but be a driver of the organization and enterprise's value. And that, depending on our client, again, that when what they want to build can look completely different, from each engagement, to another engagement. For some, we are building, we're helping our clients build a completely self-enabled marketing function. 3 years from now, 90% of what they do in the marketing function will be driven out of in-house and be driven, largely through AI infrastructure. We almost don't think of ourselves as a agency per se, because I think an agency is really built on delivering campaigns and delivering episodic engagements with the customer. We want to kind of be, again, that growth partner, where we have this kind of unified operating system that we're working with our clients, depending on what, how they want to set that up.
And is that achieved just through, constant communication with your client to be able to say, like, these are the expectations and here's how we can help them meet? Because I think, to your point, a lot of agencies do see their role as like, yep, you come to me and it's like, we want to be able to do this omni-channel campaign, or we want to be able to maximize here. But you're talking about something that's much more dynamic and long-lasting, I guess.
It is dynamic. It's something, again, that we unpack with our clients, I think. We just happen to be very fortunate that we are embedded with a lot of different client organizations, and they're coming to us with questions because they're trying to get a sense of what the future is going to be like. And through those set of questions, we kind of help them reframe what that ask is and kind of come to an agreement on what the future state is for our relationship with them. Once we have that set, then we start to, that's when the power of our infrastructure and our capabilities really helps accelerate our clients to get there.
It kind of reminds me of that Wayne Gretzky quote where it's like you're not going where the puck is, you want to go to where the puck is going to be, and kind of be proactive in that sort of way. I don't know if there was anything you want to add on to that thought.
I do. Like an interesting challenge that a few of our clients have come to us with, in the spirit of like non-traditional AOR thinking, is what is the future of the commercial organization overall? Organizational design perspective, what's the purpose? As patient and HCP behaviors are changing unbelievably rapidly with the advent of open evidence, let's just call it 60 to 70% of HCPs are using that right as a diagnostic tool. Patient behaviors are changing equally as quickly and at the same kind of scale. So you start to ask yourself, if you're a commercial leader, what is the role of marketing in this world? What is the role of the sales rep in this world? What is the role of kind of medical marketing, the KOL piece of the puzzle? If the HCPs are primarily accessing information through LLMs, what is my market? How does my marketing need to evolve? Right? How far out do I really need to be doing more aggressive kind of KOL marketing? So they're coming to us saying, give us a 3-year view. Tell us like how we should be evolving. Let's put a stake in the ground on the experiences that doctors and patients and marketers are going to be having in the future, and let's build enablement tools against that vision. Just as much as clients are coming to us and saying, okay, we want a campaign, but we also want like a system that we can take over, or we want to work with you in different ways. We're going to do this part, you're going to do that part. It's so different from how it was even 3 years ago, with all of these like super interesting challenges coming our way.
I think you're going to start seeing, like, there is a period of decoupling going on. We've been trying to deal with the proliferation of content and marketing in general for a number of years now. Obviously there's a cost associated with that, and clients have been looking at ways to, obviously segment out their agency relationships or their supplier relationships in ways that make sense for them to be able to obviously deliver the most value to their customer, but at the right price point for them. And so that was often a decoupling and stratifying out different agencies. I think that's going to largely go away. Obviously, AI has a big part of that, but that data layer will be that unified data layer that we're going to have with our clients is going to be a big part of it. But it's not going to, you're not going to get a better return on your investment of your marketing dollar by having a fragmented customer experience all the way through. And so I do believe our bet is, the bet that we're placing on the future is that's largely going to be a single relationship with a single organization. And we think that we're just well positioned because of our history, helping to stand up transformation on the organizational level, but also the capabilities that we now have with Song Life to be able to take that journey with our clients from the beginning to the end.
Which leads to a natural question too, which is like, and again, I think there's a lot of organizations out there that say, hey, we can disrupt things, we can make all these transformations happen, but then it comes down to how do you actually go to measurable impact. I'm curious, when a client says to you like, oh, that's all great, we want to be able to see all that happen, but like how are you actually looking at KPIs, the return, all that sort of stuff?
Well, we're definitely defining them with our clients again, based off of the beginning foundation that we're setting. Like what's important to us as an organization? Is it speed to market? Because if it's speed to market, then we're going to set up our not only our metrics, but we're going to set up our system to be the fastest, the fastest marketing organization to market, because we believe relevance and speed are united, right? And so there might be speed to market. It might be things again within that are talking about kind of like we call like this hidden fragmentation tax, right? If you look at the things that are impacting our ability to be relevant with our customers in real time, it's a lot of hidden not only expenditure, but time that's wasted, again, in the process. So cutting down on MLR reviews, setting up that system well so that we can get content to to our customers in a as near real time as we possibly can be. Obviously, there are duplication of data. I think the biggest thing that we're seeing is, I think the unified data layer is critically important, and also how an organization is going to actually tap into that data layer, not brand by brand, but as an organization, so that you can create you can continue to build a stronger intelligence layer for, that you're making your marketing decisions on. I think that is one of the biggest things that we're going to start to see, because we have a ton of data, but it's all very siloed, brand by brand, in our clients. So once we create that learning layer, I think you're going to start to see, measurable impact in terms of speed, to market.
It's a tale as old as time with medical marketing. It's like we just have all this data, and it's like, how do we actualize it?
Yeah.
Anything you want to add on to that in terms of measurable impact?
I would just say that in terms of like the reinvention of marketing that's been going on for, let's call it 2 years now, and how marketing gets done, that the measurement piece has been focused on efficiency. You probably would agree, right? There's been a big push to take cost down, whether that be from a campaign perspective or like a campaign ops perspective. But now our clients are increasingly talking about growth. And so the measuring those key drivers and linking it to like real data is the like gold standard that we're reaching toward. So for one, am super happy to like get out of efficiency land and back into back into like marketing as a driver of growth. Because that's why we all do this. Like, we're not here to just like make it faster and cheaper. We have the data to make those connections, to make it better.
You talk about the silo nature of the data. Like, what other obstacles are in the way of being able to achieve that? Because I hear that a lot from marketers I talk with as well, where it's like, finally the client is not looking at the cost that we're going to save, but like the revenue that we're going to generate.
Right.
But like, other than data silo effect, what are some of those other obstacles in the way of that?
I think most clients are set up to have their brands have different experience. Each brand's experience is completely different. So internally, that experience is different. As it ladders up to their, the enterprise, it's completely, different from to manage. We want more of a systematic approach to what marketing is, what's important and what marketing is going to measure, what are those growth drivers, and recognize that obviously brands based on their life cycle or the particular markets they're in will have some nuance, but there'll be a lot more in common than, in terms of what they're driving towards than is, that exists today. And I think that's like a huge part of it. So it really comes down to, our customer. I think our clients always ask the agencies a lot of hard questions. I think we, are rightly positioned to help push our clients to ask those same questions of themselves, because within that exchange and that dialogue, I think that's where we're going to get to. We're going to quickly get to a better foundation for that growth. I mean, if we go back and we're always answering every question with some type of piece of communication or marketing or content, and that's all we care about as their agency partner, then we're truly not aligning as their business partner. So that's the key, is always making sure that we have that kind of shared purpose together about driving growth for our clients' organizations.
I really enjoyed this conversation. I want you to leave our audience with kind of a last word, if you will, in terms of, everyone's looking at different opportunities in scale, whether you're at one of the big holding companies, or you're a sizable indie, or even if you're a smaller indie that's like, hey, we want to be able to move up into that league. And Ken, I'll throw it over to you, and then Enzo, I'd love you to finish us off here, but like, what sort of parting advice would you give to people where it's like, hey, like we've achieved scale, great, you made that deal happen, you've got your organization at this point, but like it is those fundamentals that we've talked about throughout this conversation. What sort of parting advice would you give to somebody who's considering how they can achieve brands at scale?
I think first and foremost, I think you always got to make sure that you are living your purpose. I think the part of our, we talked about relevance and readiness, and those are external and internal, right? Kind of, if you think about relevance as an external outcome, readiness is usually an internal outcome or objective. I think purpose is something that I don't know if we put enough emphasis on that, because that is where you gain the alignment to, really the value that we're trying to create, right? We're trying to create brand value that changes and creates relevance based on customer behavior changing. Well, we want to make sure that we're constantly reinforcing the purpose part during that, because you could have brands at scale and you could achieve that, but if it's not driving that purpose, then it's not really what you set out to accomplish.
I'll just add, we shouldn't lose creativity in this and emotion. I've seen it a little bit. There's a lot of focus on readiness. That point around purpose and relevance is really like the emotional piece and connecting with end customers. And so as we moving brands to scale does not mean like lowest common denominator of creativity at all. And so that's something that we prize really highly. It's one of those things that you know when you see it, but that should not get lost in the shuffle. And the other thing is what a great time to be figuring this all out, right? Like a super interesting time to be in marketing, super interesting time to be in, healthcare marketing. So got to embrace the change and just lean into the excitement of it all, because it can also be a little overwhelming and scary.
Yeah. Exciting, overwhelming, and scary, all things.
All at the same time.
They can all be accurate.
Exactly.
And so, Ken, thank you again so much for being on here. I really appreciate the conversation because, again, we see the industry changing so much, and there's all these dynamics at play that can, to your point, be overwhelming. But it's great to have two leaders here that can really unpack it and make it digestible for our audience. So really appreciate all the insights here. Thank you for coming into the studio to participate with us, and thank you, the viewer, for tuning in to the latest episode of the MM+M Agency 100 video series. As I said before, I'm Jack O'Brien, Executive Editor. Thank you again. Take care.